The Quad Cities Veterans Network has been working for more than 5 years to not only help build a professional network of veterans, but also build a sense of community. One of its networking events is coming up later this week. We caught up with the founder to learn how the organization has expanded even beyond our area and how it serves not just veterans. And joining us now is Bryan Miller. Bryan, you founded the Quad Cities Veteran Network. This was over 5 years ago now.
Sure.
Before we get into kind of what's going on now, tell me a little bit about the history and why you started it.
So the real history, and I didn't found it or start this organization by my own. We have a good team of veterans. So when I was getting ready to retire from the Army, they said, hey, you need a network to help you find your next career. And I said, well, I don't have a network. And I got online, looked in the community, and I didn't find anything that was dedicated to veteran employment. So I just started my own network. Me, myself, and I with a LinkedIn account and a Gmail email account, and we started from there. And that was back in October of 2018. I was fortunate enough, my battle buddy, we were retiring together. We went to a job fair at Black Hawk College, and I ran into a gentleman named Tom Reagan, who was their Veterans Affairs coordinator, and a recruiter at the time from H&I in Muscatine, and they joined on, and with some other folks from Iowa Works and from Illinois Veterans Employment, we founded this network.
And you have seen substantial growth. Tell me a little bit about that and what's driving that and kind of the benefits that you've seen as a result.
So the biggest driver of growth is we started out on the Arsenal. And it was a small community, so one of our other partners, he said, well, you got to take it out into the city. So we changed from Rock Island to become the Quad City Veterans Network. We started out with about 5 to 8 guys, and it was small. Once we came out into the community, we went to a location here in Moline, and it expanded. I think the need was out there, but we didn't have a means to reach out to that community. I got fortunate, did a couple of, went to some job fairs, spread the word, started posting on LinkedIn, met some folks in the community, Quad City Chamber of Commerce, said Iowa Works, and they helped us get the word out. Then I got sponsors online, and the sponsors started to advertise, and social media did its thing.
Right.
So it started to grow on LinkedIn, and I kept saying to myself, well, I want to keep it professional. This is a business-related entity, and they were like, well, you got to get on Facebook. So after a couple of years, we got on Facebook, and now we're there, and we're connected with the community, and that's how it expanded. Word of mouth has been one of the greatest drivers of our expansion.
But it seems like the real network is built oftentimes during these monthly meetings that you have, these monthly events. Tell us about those. What can people expect if they've maybe never been a part of those?
So our network works face-to-face. During COVID, we tried to do virtual meetings on Teams and Zoom. The concept doesn't work there. So when we have three parts of the pie. We have that veteran who's looking for work. We have that business that's looking to hire, and then we have that veteran supporter. So they may be some folks from the community, their mom or dad served, but they want to be part of the veteran community. It's an easygoing kind of environment. What people don't realize is if you're talking to an employer, it's a job interview, but it's not a job interview sitting over a table. It's in an environment that's low threat, and people are interested in what you have to look for. They're not doing 50 interviews. They're roaming through the room and meeting people and just getting to know people, and that's what makes our network work, the face-to-face interaction and contact.
What's the challenge perhaps ahead for you that you're trying to tackle? I mean, are there veterans you're still trying to reach that maybe aren't part of your network yet?
So I think our biggest challenge is we operate with no funding. We don't have advertising campaigns. We push out by word of mouth, and then the support we get from our sponsors, our monthly sponsors. We've used a lot of social media, folks in the community to help us. Our challenge is to reach that veteran that maybe doesn't use social media, or for one reason or another is isolated from the community. How do we reach that person?
And one thing we were talking about was this is really not just necessarily for veterans, but it really can help the families as well.
It's a family team. It's that husband or wife that's in the service and their spouse, and how their spouse takes off time from their work career to support their family. Their spouse is deployed, and they end up with a break in job employment. That hurts folks when they're looking for work. So we help the whole family unit, the spouse especially, We also are open to any family members. Really, if it comes down to someone who's had a tough time and they need a job and they're not a veteran and they come seek us out, we'll help them. It's about community. It's about the people in our community. It's about the employment. It's also about our employers that are looking to fill positions. They need help as well. So it's a win-win for the community.
Yeah, everyone benefits.
Yes, sir.
I imagine being in the military, you have to have sort of a vision of what you want to accomplish. Is there a vision for a year from now or a couple of years from now for this organization?
Sure.
Does it look different than?
It does. It looks drastically different. Our vision was to expand, which we have. So now there's not just the Quad City Veterans Network. There's the Muscatine Veterans Network out in Muscatine. There's the Tri-State Veterans Network in Dubuque. There's the River Valley Veterans Network out towards Des Moines. So we've expanded to reach other veterans outside of the Quad Cities. And it's just, it sparked some folks. They made the trip from the River Valley Veterans Network. We met in Huxley last month. So they drove out from the middle of the state and they said, well, we want to do this where we live. And that's how it expanded. That was our vision, and it kind of all came together by other folks and said, I want to do this where we live. And then it just boomed. So our vision kind of came true. Now we're working, how do we get to the rest of the state? How do we go from LeClaire, Iowa to Council Bluff, Iowa? And how long is that going to take us? We don't know, but that's our vision.
All right, tell us about the event you have on Thursday.
So our next event is on 15 February at Front Street Tap Room in Davenport. We meet the third Thursday of every month, and it is just a low-threat, good environment to get people together that are looking for work, those that need work and those that got work.
All right, Bryan Miller, we appreciate the work you're doing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
And sticking with our nation's veterans, it's not often that you get to meet a host of Hollywood A-listers, but when your military service during World War II is the basis of a new streaming series, that's exactly what happens. Boyd Huppert introduces us to a Midwesterner celebrating 100 years.
The shoes emerging from the car are attached to a man, well-grounded.
The big day, yeah.
Big doings.
100th birthday.
How's that?
Not about
Howdy there.
to go to Jim Rasmussen's head.
God bless America.
Not the cakes, not the balloons,
Thank you very much.
not this number.
See the sign out in front?
Oh, wow.
As the 8th Air Force Historical Society celebrates a humble man's 100th.
With liberty and justice for all.
But then,
This is me here.
hard to top the celebration 2 weeks earlier.
Oh, that's Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg on the left, talking to Jim on the right.
The one with the bald head is me.
And it gets better.
This is Tom Hanks right here, yeah.
Hanks and Spielberg, and next to Jim, Gary Getzman. The three co-producers of the series Masters of the Air, currently dropping on Apple TV+.
The 8th will be sending up the largest air armada ever assembled in the history of mankind.
The film depicts the men of the 100th Bomb Group during World War II, in which Jim Rasmussen served, along with the 3 other World War II veterans invited to the Hollywood premiere.
Look at all those cameras.
That's what I mean when you on the red carpet there.
That's Lieutenant Jim Rasmussen, his plane's navigator, with the crew of his B-17 bomber.
I flew 32 missions.
32 missions with the bomb group that came to be known as the Bloody 100 due to its high casualty rates flying over Nazi-controlled Europe.
We always ran into flak. The one that really scared me, of course, was a Berlin mission where the plane right adjacent to us just kind of exploded, you know, and just ended up like in a big ball of fire and whatnot. And he just rolled right out of the formation.
We lead our boys through.
Austin Butler is one of the lead actors in Masters of the Air.
And he played the Elvis movie.
Elvis, meet Jim.
Oh, the interesting thing, I asked him, I says, here all of us when we were over there and whatnot were like 20 and 21 years old. And I says, how old are you? And he says, I'm 32.
Happy birthday.
Not a bad way to usher in one's second century.
I showed a few people at my job. I was like, this is my grandpa. And it was really fun to get to show them. They were like, is that Tom Hanks? It's like, yeah, it is.
Still amazed by all the attention.
I got a little bit more conversation with Spielberg.
Jim dutifully signs autographs.
Can I get a signature too?
Okay.
A perfect paradox, really,
Might interfere with my napping. It'll keep me awake.
that our greatest generation is also our most
Okay.
humble.
Okay, sure.
There was thousands of other guys that were doing the same thing.
Survivor of the war and masterfully surviving still.